Brick.
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 Yes, Brick. Brick.
Brick. Not Brick Township.
Or we can go with the Commodores.
She's a brick house.
She's might be.
Letting it all hang out.
Hang out, yeah.
There you go.
She's the one, the only one.
Built like an Amazon.
There you go.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Lager Room. It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Mead, not beer, Mead Samurai. What is up with that? Mead Samurai. Why the Mead Samurai today?
Well, we're going to find out when we introduce the guest. But if
Pizza Samurai. What are you? The pizza samurai?
Well, it's National Pizza Pie Day, Shal.
It is National Pizza Pie Day.
But this is Rhode Island pizza, so we're going to leave that over there.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that's actually not too bad. This one place that I go to. At any rate,
you are living up there right now, right?
I am living up there.
Okay.
For the nonce.
And you do have friends up there, right? You have people you associate with to some degree at some point in time, here and there, once in a while.
Don't really. No? Well, there's one. There's the people I work with.
There you go.
Friends.
So, I mean, does Rhode Island know that their pizza is, subpar? As compared to New Jersey, anyway. I'm sure it's actually great compared to other pizzas.
I've told anyone who'll listen. But
what else is it today? It's another day other than pizza.
Well, it is National Develop Alternative Vices Day.
Explain that to us, please.
So the whole thing about that
I can guess, but
Well, we all have our vices, right?
Sure.
And some of them are
we
destructive.
Show them every day, every week on the show. So.
And did I freeze or did John freeze?
Oh no, neither of us froze. Must be you.
Must have been me. Anyway, so. Some of these are destructive, and some of these we turn into podcasts. These vices, and so one of mine and John's biggest vices is beer. So today, to celebrate National Develop Alternate Vices Day, developed that vice of mead.
There you go.
But I don't know if it's a vice. It's a love. It's a passion.
But I mean, it's a vice, I guess, to some degree. But it's still.
If you go too far, if you drink too much of it, I guess.
Depends.
Right?
Yeah, anything can become a vice if you go too far with it.
But we talk about being passionate about it. I know somebody who's a lot more passionate about mead than we are.
And why don't we bring him in right now with us today on the show is the owner of Melovino Meadery and mead maker extraordinaire, Mr. Sergio Moutela. How are you, Sergio?
Hey, Serge.
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
How we doing?
Staying alive during this pandemic, I guess.
Absolutely.
Oh man, if you're already poured, I'm pouring. There we go.
Oh, yeah. I still have to uncork mine.
You haven't uncorked your shit? Oh
no,
man,
I didn't. I was getting ready for the podcast. You guys were just waiting for me to send you the link. So.
And waiting. And yes.
You're a funny guy. Okay. You're funny. We had somebody else with us too, don't we?
Yes, we have the special guest.
We have the special guest.
The additional guest. The Starburst.
The
Starburst guest. Mr. Matt Potenski. There he is.
Hey, Matt.
Welcome, Matt. And here's Sergio's tag. Here we go. I forgot to put that up. And then I made one for Matt, too. Here we go. He makes mead, beer, and photographs. There we go. So.
all three of them very well, as a matter of fact.
Very well, yeah. Very well. So, but how's everybody doing today?
Pretty good.
As you tell me that, I'm going to open this first mead here. So, why don't we? We got a comment already. Let's just jump on that. Brian said, "What a crew!" And this is our producer, by the way. You all know that already. And,
what's going on, Brian?
And he also wanted to know Mead Samurai.
He spelt it wrong.
He spelt it.
But he spelt it the way Beer Samurai was originally spelt on Facebook. It was spelled incorrectly.
That's Samori.
Samurai, yeah.
Samurai.
So I don't know if he did that intentionally or if he screwed it up the way I screwed it up the first time.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He did it intentionally.
He put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
It's lobble.
I hate it when I put my emphasis on the wrong syllable.
So does Jess.
This is true. This is true. So what is everybody drinking today? Let's start with Mr. Moutela, since he's the special guest number 1 today.
Yeah, I'm actually drinking. Well, I'll be jumping around for a few things, but right now I'm drinking our Rock Me Aristeus, which is it's a traditional mead essentially. So it's a blend of 2 different exotic honey varietals that we blended into water that we steeped fresh olive blossoms into.
Okay.
We fancied it with a little bulldog Greek statue label kind
Very
of a
nice.
thing.
And that's also why the bulldog.
It's we're donating a portion of the proceeds to the Long Island Bulldog Rescue for that.
Nice.
Ah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I hope Gene Lynch is listening.
Gene, are you lynching? Is
Yeah,
Gene
lynching.
lynching?
That was a cool little collaboration with a good buddy of mine, Bob Slanzy, who's a whole mead maker, beekeeper, and big bulldog fan and foster parent to Bulldogs.
Nice.
So,
Doing some of my favorite work then.
yep.
That's great. Here we go. Mr. Meat Samurai, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking. You're asking me next because you already have to crawl up because
Yes,
you know
I already have to crawl up there.
I'm drinking the same thing. Take yourself a little work there, didn't you?
I saved myself a minute
thing.
of a second of work there, so might as well go
Keep
right to it
stroke.
instead of going back to it. And Mr. Potenski, what are you drinking?
I am also drinking Melovino. Surprise, surprise. Dug this out of the cellar. This is Morrison, so it's a traditional mead made with Tupelo honey. That is
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, we've got to make that one again for sure.
And I'll be pouring Boku.
All right.
You know what's
Follow
weird?
up in a
I've
second.
had that so many times. I never ever checked that one in. I noticed today.
There we
Really?
Yeah, weirdest thing.
go. And there we go. Everything.
And when we talk about that, when we talk about checking, and we talk about Untapped, and if you look at Melovino, they have an overall rating over 4 out of 5, which is really impressive. That's a hard thing to do on Untapped because there's so many people that just, half the time don't get what you're doing.
Yeah.
They'll check a mead.
I always say if it's like,
They'll check a mead in and say, "Oh, this was too sweet."
right.
God.
I hate the people, when you specifically speaking of, not even speaking specifically of meat or whatever, but like as far as beer goes, I hate when you see check-in somebody that does not like a particular style, drinks it, doesn't like it because it's not their style, and they rate it a 1. Well,
Yeah.
it's not your style. Don't rate it at all.
Yeah,
Because you're actually hurting the ratings.
Yeah, we
So
literally
just leave
had
it off.
somebody come into the meadery years ago and tasted 5 of our meads in the tasting room and then rated all of them a 1 with an explanation that they don't like anything made with honey. And I'm like, why did you walk into a meadery?
Yeah, what? And you came here, why?
I'm like,
Oh my goodness!
thanks for dropping our rating.
Makes no sense.
Great.
Makes no sense.
Well, we had somebody who had the chocolate cherry cake draft mead that we had on tap a couple weeks ago, and it was like it was like a glowing review. They're like, "Oh my god, it's just like a cake slice. Oh, this is amazing!" Blah. And it was like 3 stars, and then we're like, "Okay, so obviously you've had several much better chocolate cherry cake draft mead."
Oh, that was just a slip. It was just a slip
But
of my.
Yeah.
Just a slip of my finger. I'll go fix that.
Right. Well, as good as they rated that, as good as they were responding about that one, could you imagine how they would have reacted to something that they rated a 5? But,
Yeah, seriously.
well, cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Oh no! Buzz, right?
Buzz. There you go.
Buzz, that's right. Yep.
Oh, that's very good. That's
Oh,
super
gosh.
good. Oh, wow. You get a comment here from Brian, of course. He says he polished off a Southern apple during the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a real nice one. We're running low on that one, actually.
During that Super Bowl, I would have polished off about 3 Southern apples. But
Yes,
in
someone
any
was
event.
not happy if you follow him on Facebook.
Yeah, no. No disdain, no dislike, just enough already. But we'll leave that. We'll leave that
gonna
for
leave
tomorrow
that be.
night's show.
Yeah, it's a different show.
It's a different show altogether. Feel free to write in on that one. But in any event, let's move on. Let's hear a little bit about Melovino. Sergio, why don't you tell us what got you started? Why did you first want to make mead? What was the first inspiration?
Oh, man.
I should take some honey and make some alcohol out of it.
Now, I remember what you would say during the tours.
Yeah.
You remember what you say during the tours that you tried beer?
Well, yeah. Well, it'll be exactly the same as what I'm going to say now because
You've got it's
easier for
ingrained
me.
in there.
yeah, it's easier for me not to lie because I can't remember any lies. So I just always tell the truth. So I'm sure it'll be exactly
Good
the
policy.
same story.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to try to summarize as much as possible, I grew up making wine with my family, mainly my grandfather growing up, and so I started making wine myself at home when I bought a house, and then I just quickly fell into like the homebrew scene. Started brewing a lot of beer at home. Really fell in love with that, especially since wine takes a year to be ready. Beer is like 3 to 4 weeks, and you got something ready to drink. So I really fell in love with brewing beer and really got dived into that side of things. And then just going through like homebrew forums online, like I think it was homebrewtalk.com. I just stumbled across like some people posting about something called mead, and it's made with honey and this and that, and I kind of envisioned it being like served in a big frothy stein kind of a thing. And I had no idea what mead was, but that's how like I envisioned it. And then, I just gave it a try. And the first 2 batches I made were just like, they were freaking horrible. Ended up just dumping them down the drain basically after months and months and months of waiting and trying to add stuff on top of it to see if I can make it better. But then eventually I kind of, started reading up on it and developed my own kind of processes for mead making, how to make it better younger and quicker. And yada, yada, yada. I started winning a lot of like homebrew competitions, local, regional, even at National Homebrew, the National Homebrew Conference with some of my mead. So I noticed I was pretty decent at beer. And but all of a sudden, anytime I entered a mead into a competition, every single one I entered won a medal. But the beers, only every once in a while to get lucky and win a medal. But so I realized something real quick, which was I guess I'm not that great at making beer, at least compared to the meads that I was making. And so I decided to focus more on that. And then at that time, I was actually I was planning on actually opening up a small brew pub here in New Jersey. I'm a really big foodie, and I love brewing beer, and I love drinking beer, and that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get out of like the career that I was in for 15 years prior to that. And I wanted to do something I really felt passionate about. And so I was going to open up a small brew pub. And then with all these medals for these meads that were coming in, I ended up getting an email from one of the judges from like the biggest mead competition in the world that I just won a gold medal at. And he emailed me specifically to see if I'd be willing to share my recipe with him, because he was in the process of opening a meadery and wanted to make that at his place. And that's when like everything kind of like clicked, and my mind went from brew pub to what if we could try to open up a meadery? And there's no other meaderies in Jersey, and this might be pretty cool. Who knows? And so I just changed my whole game plan and started focusing on starting up a meadery. Definitely faced quite a bit of challenges with the state.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the choice was the easy part. Yeah.
Yeah. Very long story short, there at that point in time, this was about seven-ish years ago. I'm really bad with time and years, but it was around at least seven or so years ago. There were no liquor license, at least production license in New Jersey that mead fell under, basically. So it didn't fall under obviously a brewery license or a distillery license. There was no license that covered it specifically. And even the winery license in New Jersey, which technically mead is federally licensed as a winery. I'm a federal licensed winery here at the meadery. But as per the state of New Jersey, the way they wrote their winery license, it only accounted for wines made from grapes or other fruits. So fermenting a wine from honey technically didn't even fall under the definition of what's allowed under a New Jersey winery license. And not to mention, you also need a minimum of 3 acres of land that you're using to actively cultivate fruit on in order to even qualify for a winery license. So
sure.
That, nothing, that was the big roadblock that I hit. And, to fast forward through all that, I was really persistent with the ABC. I ended up getting a meeting with the director at that time, and he just agreed to issue me like a special permit. That would allow me to, it was a permit to manufacture mead in the state of New Jersey with certain stipulations and, blah, blah, blah. And, that's how Melovino was allowed to open up. But I mean, even that was about a year-long process, just on figuring out the licensing and trying to get them to agree to some kind of like a special permit or something. But now in 2021, technically it was actually accomplished about 3 years ago. We actually created a completely new license in New Jersey. So now there's actually a meadery/cidery license in New Jersey that people could apply for. After we opened up, there was plenty of people that were coming in asking how the hell were we able to open up a meadery in New Jersey, because they encountered the same issues that I did. And the state wasn't giving that special permit out to anybody else either, which I thought was kind of weird. I don't understand why they would have given it to me, but not everybody else. So, I met with some legislators down in South Jersey, down in Trenton, and I helped draft the meadery cidery license bill. Well, technically just the meadery one. The cidery license bill was actually separate at that time, and then we ended up joining them together onto the same bill. And I showed up to Trenton every time that bill was up for discussion, and I was literally the only one in attendance every time that bill was up for discussion that was speaking in favor of the bill. We had 4 or 5 other industry reps in Trenton every single time that were speaking against it. I was the only one ever there to speak in favor of it. And I mean,
why were they speaking against it? What was their?
You know how it is, man. It's all politics.
Just politics.
Yeah, it's all politics. But long story short, we got it passed. Took almost about 2 years' time, I think, almost. But we got it passed, and now anybody who's looking to open up a meadery in New Jersey for the past 3 years, they've been able to do so.
Wow,
so,
awesome.
And happy to say there's 2 that opened up last year. Beach Bee Meadery down in Long Branch, and Armageddon Brewing, who does mead and cider, neither of which are brewed, but they went with the name Armageddon Brewing. Really good, really cool guys. They're, I always forget the name of the town. They're like, if you're from like North Jersey or whatever, Union County, I don't know most of the towns in the area down in like Southwest Jersey. So,
gotcha.
Apologize for that.
They're down in the Philly area, the suburbs of
Philly. Yeah, pretty much. And then there's another one in the process.
I think they're not too far from where Flying Fish was. I think it's Summerdale.
Okay.
Sounds right, possibly. Yeah. But either way, and there's a third one in the process of opening in like Throw a Rock and Hit Delaware, New Jersey. Pretty much.
It is Summerdale, Matt. I just looked it up.
Okay. There we go. But
doing our producer's job.
I was going to say I was going to have Brian do it, but
yeah.
He's
too enamored. He's too enamored by your shirt right now.
By my shirt?
Yeah.
Sweaty balls.
My sweaty balls shirt.
Sweaty balls.
Kudos to Joe and Catherine Granat for this shirt. Thank you. This is a late Christmas gift. Just arrived today, so I definitely had to wear it today. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Catherine. Actually, I know Jolene made you buy it. I understand, but anyway.
Yeah, Joe don't like you that much.
But in any event, yes. So I'm sporting my sweaty balls shirt today. What are you wearing over there, Mister? You got a Peanuts shirt on there?
Yeah, but look who Linus is.
Freddie Mercury. Yeah, nice.
There you go.
There you go.
I love mashup shirts. Absolutely love mashup shirts. Almost as much as I like brewery shirts and meadery shirts for that matter. And I mean Sergio's shirt. Jeez.
Yeah, there you go.
Little hop transforming into a bee like the Incredible Hulk sort of a thing.
There we go.
And Matt loves Melovino.
Yep.
We know this. That's redundant.
So
I'm like a walking billboard, so
and Matt's a big guy, so that probably cost a lot to rent out that space.
Joe Granat, speaking of devil, said they're by Flying Fish. He knew that, so there you go. And he, of course, laughed at my shirt. That was all because of him. So there you go. And thanks, James. Appreciate it. Not sure which one of the 4 of us you mean, but thanks.
We all appreciate it.
We all appreciate it.
We'll all take the compliment.
We'll all take it. So there you go.
We're all well dressed in it.
There you go.
The one thing we forgot to do, John, is like hopefully there's other people watching who are drinking some Melovino with us. So if you are, shout it out, anything you're drinking.
Yeah, whatever you're drinking, shout it out. Whether it's Melovino or different mead, just beer, whatever.
Yeah,
shout it out. Let us know what you're. Let us know.
Shout it out loud.
There you go. On that kiss note, just
actually, John, I'll jump in for 1 second too.
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of people don't know this, but I mean, I knew Serge for a few years before Melovino was open. I mean, I knew him when we were just homebrewers in a homebrew club, and I mean, the one thing is he used to piss everybody off because he never brought anything that wasn't amazing. He would bring these meads and we're like, seriously, dude, just bring something that's like mediocre once, just so we feel better about ourselves.
But that's because I used to leave all the shit at home.
there was plenty of shit. You just didn't bring it with you.
Yeah. Like, ooh, this is staying right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching him, just how driven he was, to get Melovino open was such an impressive thing in my mind, and it's a token. It's like I've never had anything put in a glass from him that hasn't been really just incredible, and that's been a long amount of time. So it's an impressive feat. Yes, me.
And it still is, right?
I have to say, I've been anything that I've ever had. No smoke intended, Sergio. Everything I've ever had has been amazing. So
yeah. And speaking of like in the old days, I'm going to save some of this. This is what I'm putting on top of it. Remember these?
Yeah.
Well, what'd you call those things? Sports.
Zorks.
That was it.
It was like a zippered cork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our producer Brian says he still doesn't make anything that's mediocre. There you go.
That could be taken two ways, Brian.
I'm going to move on to my second mead. It's Little Lying George.
Little Lying George.
Are there cherries in that?
There's cherries, raspberry, black currant, and it's been in an oak barrel. So you got a nice,
very nice.
So you brought in the cherry tree, the wood, and the cherry into it.
All right. So on that note, while he's pouring that, Sergio, tell us what you've definitely gotten super experimental, and there's been crazy things. I've had a bunch of them, and they're amazing. What makes you what's your inspiration? What makes you want to do the next craziest thing? And talk about some of the crazy things you've done too.
Yeah. There's so many, man. I just like having fun with everything, man. I always tell people, because I still hang out with a ton of homebrewers, especially the mead homebrewers.
Sure.
And I tell them all the time, I still feel like a homebrewer. I just have way bigger toys, and I get to do it 7 days a week.
How much of it comes from you being a foodie?
Yeah. So I draw inspiration from a lot of different places. A lot of times it could be like lyrics from a song where I'm like, ooh, you know what? Like ideas just pop into my head. Like I don't even know, man. I have a note file on my phone with Evernote where you could just scroll for days. Like I'm adding an idea or two every single day for the past 7 or 8 years. And so it could be like a lyric from a song. It could be something that somebody said in a movie, or it could just be like something food related, or even a cocktail.
Sure.
Or in some cases beers. We started making like beer style meads here at the meadery, where it's just because I really missed brewing beer so much. And we can't have any malt on the premise in a federally licensed winery. So I was thinking, how can we make beer without malt? And it took a while, but we ended up nailing down like a process to basically make beer from 100% honey, essentially, or in some cases like a deconstruction of a certain beer style. But yeah, it's like. I mean, we've made like cheesecake meads where we made a raspberry and a blueberry version of our cheesecake meads, where we're throwing graham crackers and vanilla beans. I think on the next round, we're actually going to throw in powdered cream cheese to give that a shot. I still got to try that out first.
Sure.
We made peanut butter and jelly meads.
Oh, those two were.
Our apple pie mead, although that's definitely that's kind of a norm. Almost every meadery out there for the most part makes an apple pie mead, but we just get creative, man. Any idea that pops into my mind, I'm gonna find a tank or at least a bucket or something to put it in, because I just have a very obsessive personality, man. And once I have an idea in my head, I just want to do it, and it frustrates the crap out of me that I can't get to every single idea as fast as I want.
I'll tell you a quick little story. Is we used to have this big grill in the production area that was in the way. Every time you turned around, the damn grill was in the way. It's because you had to grill pineapples for Brazilian grilled pineapple mead.
Yeah.
And you had this big giant grill, and it's just like, if that's the idea, he's going for it. He's going for it 100%. So it's pretty cool to see that process.
Yeah, we brought in one of those big Weber Ranch kettles, like the ones that you buy if you're a caterer, kind of grills. Yeah, I brought that over to the meadery just for grilling pineapples and anything else. Then we started like grilling apples, and I even brought like a small smoker into the meadery. We were smoking apples, and then we ended up smoking I wanted to kind of make like a bacon themed mead, but not necessarily add any meat product into the mead. So I thought, why not smoke a pork belly and have a bunch of oak sitting in the tray right above the pork belly in the smoker, and just let all that meat sweat and smoke kind of absorb into the oak itself. And then as soon as we were done with that pork belly, we took all the oak out and we just threw it hot out of the smoker right into the mead, and it was freaking phenomenal, man. Like, just like little weird ideas sometimes is just, I'm always going to give something to try, even if it's just like a 5-gallon batch. And if it comes out good, we'll throw it into a keg and put it on tap. 5 gallons and it's gone. Sure. And if it worked out really well, we'll make a whole lot more, or, scale up the batches way more.
Sure, absolutely. James Harris said PBJ was amazing, he said. So.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, now at this point, we've made 2 different, standard strength, like 14%ers, PB&J meads. And we also released some draft ones, too. The draft ones have actually been really cool.
Talk a little bit more about draft meads.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What's the difference between your standard mead and a draft mead?
There's a lot of your taps behind you, so talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, those are all of them, all 8 of them.
All 8 of them right now. And one of them is one of those beer meads you were talking about, right?
Yes, yeah. The draft meads, we started that up about 3 years ago. And basically, we used to drink a shitload of beer at the meadery. And I'm like, why the fuck are we just drinking beer? And we should be drinking mead. But everything we made was, 13% alcohol. And, there's a saying in the wine world, it takes a lot of great beer to make great wine, because you can't drink wine all day and expect to get anything done. We always found ourselves over the years with some spare ingredients, like 6 or 8 pounds of honey left in a bucket, or some extra fruit or some extra spices laying around. And it wasn't enough for even our smallest normal production scale batch size. But then we thought, why don't we just make some session meads, session strength meads, carb them up, put them on tap. And we started playing around with those, drinking them ourselves. Then we slowly introduced it to some regulars of ours, and they immediately demanded we make more of them. And then we bought a kegerator and started having 8 of them on tap, and changed the whole operation of the meadery to the bar, regular tap room and operation that we have now, where it's just come and go. Where before that, before 3 years ago, it was all just by reservation only. But yeah, now we have, we always have 6 or 8 meads, draft meads on tap. They're all 4 to 7% alcohol, slightly carbonated. And yeah, some of them, Dave mentioned, we have one on tap. That's our, we called it Ground Rules. And it was my third attempt at trying to make a dark beer style mead. In this case, it was a porter. Mm-hmm. That it's really tough to get that color, because we could only get so dark with the honey, but we did use this really dark avocado blossom honey that it looks like molasses pretty much. But even that, as dark as that honey is, and it has a big malty profile too, that helps us out a lot in trying to achieve a beer kind of character. But as dark as it is, we're diluting it quite a bit into water too anyway, so we're diluting a lot of that color away. So just using a dark honey isn't enough. I decided, how are we going to get roastiness, some notes of coffee, and, yada, yada, yada. So I just deconstructed all those flavors, and we We use this dark avocado blossom honey along with like a little bit of like chicory to get like that roasty note, a little tiny bit of like ground, really dark roasted espresso beans. And we threw that all like into the whirlpool because we're brewing these beer style meads just like we're making like an extract batch of beer, except we're not using any liquid malt extract or dry malt extract. We're just using honey as our sugar. We're just deconstructing all the flavors from IPAs, from porters. Now we're working on some pastry stout meads that will be out in another month or so. Now that we finally nailed the dark beer style with this porter, oh man, it's now it's like now we could jump off of this so many different ways. So we're actually working right now on a toasted coconut stout pastry stout mead and a chocolate peanut butter pastry stout mead.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Now, are these do you sell and distribute that in cans or anything?
So the session stuff, we haven't gotten too much out of the meadery itself. So right now it's all just for like in-house.
Okay.
So come to the meadery, you could order anything we have on tap, obviously in flights or full pours. And then we do have like 12-ounce cans to go, kind of like a 12-ounce crowler basically. And that's the most of what we've done so far with draft meads over the past 3 years. Although 2020 was supposed to be our year to go big on the draft stuff and get it in kegs and cans to distribute out there into different states that we already distribute into. But obviously, COVID happened and that didn't go as planned. But anyway, as of right now, it's all in-house for the most part. Every once in a while, we'll put some cans up for sale online.
Sure.
Because I look through the window there and I see a bunch of cans up there on the top shelf above the bottle.
Oh yeah, some of those.
Brian's making a segue.
That's the honey water.
Yeah, that's our honey water, non-alcoholic honey water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so those are our Melly waters. I could probably grab one here. So we have Melly water, which this is our raspberry blossom version. But yeah, we due to COVID, adapt or die, as they say. We had to kind of try to think of just like everybody else in the scene. Tap rooms closed. Really, just like almost abysmal sales. Cold weather where we're at doesn't make outdoor seating realistic. So, we've been pouring these non-alcoholic honey waters on tap here for like 3 years as well. And we finally decided to just start doing that in cans to go. And I basically started a whole separate business for that. Yeah, we called it Melly Water. So it's basically it's very lightly sweetened honey water. We don't add like anything else into it literally except for the honey for the flavor wise. Sure. We're not adding flavors or extracts or concentrates. It's the whole slogan is literally just let honey be thy flavor. So we're just using like a curated selection of like really awesome unique honey varietals that really stand out all on their own. It's really cool.
Now, can I ask you about the name? So obviously, mellow means honey, correct?
Yeah.
So, but you took it to Melly. Now, the business that that I work for, diamonds are big in my business, and Mellies are very small diamonds.
That I didn't know.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there was a connection there. No, you just played off mellow. Okay.
No, it was actually more of playing off my goddaughter's name, Amelia, and we call her Mealy, but if you actually pronounce her name in Portuguese, the Portuguese version of her name, as far as the nickname goes, Amelia in Portuguese would be Amelia, and we would call her Melly or Melinha, which literally translates to little honey, actually. So yeah, Melly was literally just a play off of my goddaughter's name. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that's sweet.
That's really nice.
Literally,
yeah.
Lightly sweet.
Lightly sweet. And it's got a diamond rating now, according to Dave. So
yes.
There you go.
Yes, I'll give it a diamond rating.
A small one.
All right. So Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit of some interesting notes that we might want to hear about? Sergio might.
Oh yeah, you're always good for one.
Grab it, draft.
Yeah, you might want to walk away.
No, I mean that's That's the problem. Is he doesn't make anything or put it in a glass that's that embarrassing. He keeps surprising that.
Oh, we're not talking
I'm
about
not even
the
talking
product.
about that product. They're just talking about stuff in general. So.
No. I don't know. Yeah, that's the
look at that. That is beautiful.
That's a mead.
That is a mead.
It looks like more like a.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Looks much more like a beer than a mead. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, anybody out there that sees that right now, have you ever had a mead? Unless it's that one, don't tell us, or you can tell us if you want. But have you ever had a mead that actually looked like that before? So that's what we want to know. Yeah. So is there? You got plans to do anything other crazy stuff other than the stouts you just mentioned, and the beer type meads? You anything else crazy coming up? In the next near future.
You asking me or Matt?
You.
Oh,
No, Matt.
Matt kind of said, "Yeah, well, there's nothing." So he was like, "All right."
I was about to say, what do you know?
It's also not that kind of show.
Yeah. I was about to say, what do you know that I don't? I mean, yeah. There's
nothing you want to give away anyway, right?
My productions. It's not even that. It's my production schedule is very last minute. It's as soon as I only start planning out our next production schedule once we've already got an established date for when we're going to empty every tank.
Right.
For the most part, at least. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be making another peanut butter and jelly mead soon. We haven't made one in a long time, and people keep asking. But
you going to stick with strawberry and grape, or are you going to branch out to a different kind of jelly?
Yeah, we're probably going to stick with those. Yeah, because we did a blend actually. So yeah, both the two standard strength ones that we did were one was a blueberry Concord grape blend, and then the other one was a raspberry strawberry blend. Yeah, we're probably the last one we did was the raspberry strawberry, so we're likely going to go for the blueberry grape Concord grape one next.
Nice.
I mean, besides that, I mean, we have some in the mead world. They're called Bochet's, so they're caramelized honey meads. We've done a handful already in house, draft and standard strength. One of them was actually the collab I did with Matt for that gingerbread cookie Belgian double style mead.
Oh, it's delicious.
That we released. Yeah, that was phenomenal. So yeah, basically
Thanks for sharing that, Matt.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, what it is, it's literally you just caramelize honey. No water in the kettle, just honey, and we just slowly caramelize it with some low heat over a long period of time, and it just gets really super dark and rich, and notes of like toasted marshmallow and toffee and caramel. I'm looking to definitely start doing some more of those. We released 2 of them, I think it was standard strength wise. I know one was aged in a rye whiskey barrel, and the other one, I forgot what we did with that one now at this point. We aged on pecans, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, we want to try making some more caramelized honey meads, and I also want to try to do some more really cool like traditional meads, man. Really showcasing like honey varietals.
I'm right by my cellar, so
Gonzo Picasso. Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
Yep. And then this was a Loss of Innocence.
Yes, there you go.
Aged in rye whiskey barrels.
That one was so badass. I hate the fact that I don't have any bottles of that for myself.
Apparently, Matt does.
Yeah.
You know what? I could probably be talked into splitting it with you, Serge.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll share my mead with you.
There you go. Appreciate it, man.
You're going to share his mead. That's your mead with him.
Share his mead with him.
Oh man. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I can't even tell you what we're gonna make next, to be honest. But I mean, we've got the stuff that's about to come out is pretty cool. We do have a vanilla aged Midnight Jack. If you ever had our dark berry mead Midnight Jack,
Got one sitting in my rack right over there, and that's what he's opening.
That's one of our excuse me. That's been one of our best sellers for years, and one of the only 3 meads we distribute to like 7 different states right now. Right. Yeah, we have a vanilla aged version of that coming out, as well as a coffee version. We have a coffee jack too. What else? We have our apple pie mead, Nicest Pie, coming back out. And what else? We have a chai apple cider mead as well. And I know there's
one, again, Matt, you broke up.
Mumbai apple.
Yeah, Mumbai apple. It's going to be called. Yeah.
Nice.
And I forgot what else, man. I don't know. This past year has been a total mind mind fart.
Everywhere. It's not just
for all of us. But since you mentioned I'm going. This is my next.
Yeah, let's open these other ones up. That's your next. Is Once Bitten, Twice Dry.
Yep, Once Bitten.
That's one of my favorites, man. A little off dry apple cider mead, but we use. So a funny story about that is we've made that before 2 years prior, and this past year during cider season when we got our cider delivered, we didn't have any more tanks available, but I really wanted to make that again. So we threw it into a tote, and I made like I called an audible, and we used a completely different yeast strain that's more tolerant to just like higher, ambient temperatures, specifically just so we could just ferment it without being under temperature control in a tank. And so we just fermented that in a plastic tote, and we used that one yeast strain that provides like a ton of like just a ton more complexity. You get like notes of like a little star anise and a little more like mid-level tannin structure in that.
You get a little slight ginger out of it as well.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man.
So that different style of the different yeast that you use, this is why this is only down at 11% rather than the 13, 14 that most are.
No, that one should be unless you got batch one. Batch one was stainless steel, temperature controlled.
Well, John may have pulled the information from.
I pulled the information off of
because I'm pretty certain I've got batch 2 here. No, this has 14. This is batch 2.
Yeah, okay. Batch 2, the most recent one. Yeah, 14% instead of that 11 or 12. Yeah.
So what apples? What apples we talking about in this? There you go. Nice, on the fly.
We have the technology.
It was a blend. To be honest, we've always gotten all of our apple cider product from Melix in Lebanon, Melix Apple Orchards.
Lebanon, New Jersey people, not overseas.
Yeah.
Lebanon, New Jersey.
Yeah. It's a blend of apples, basically. It's probably, I think, a blend of like 5 or 6 different, basically sweet apples. That's what they grow out there.
Sure.
But yeah, no, everything we've ever done, if it's apple cider related, we've used Melix juice. Yeah, they'll literally press it for us. And as it's coming out of the press, it's getting pumped into 300-gallon totes in the back of like the old man's pickup. And he drives us immediately after it's done pressing. Those totes are filled up. He drives directly to us. 600 gallons of freshly pressed cider that goes in our tanks. And we're literally there waiting to pump it all in to our tank. And we dilute the honey and pitch our yeast within an hour of it being pressed. It's like as fresh as we could possibly get it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One thing that I'd always like to point out too is that obviously with mead you have the spectrum from sweet to dry, like one. And I hate to say it, but especially a lot of the very highly rated meaderies makes extraordinarily sweet product. It's very, very, very on the sweet side. Yeah. And one of the things that impresses me the most is that I know Sergio does a lot of dry meads, and he does a lot of really good dry meads that have a lot of nuance and flavor in them. You can have bigger flavors easier with lots of sugar. The sugar makes a lot of those flavors pop, but to have some of these drier meads with still really full flavor profiles, it has to do with the acidity, with the tannin, with a whole bunch of different things. But I mean, he just kills the dry meads.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. He brought up his grandfather earlier, and the mead that you named after your grandfather was one of my favorite dry meads you ever made. Garrido.
Yep.
Oh, that was it was based off of Vino Verde, right?
Yeah, it was like a Vino Verde inspired mead. It was 1/3 Sauvignon Blanc grape juice and orange blossom honey. That we used for that. And then we fermented it with the Portuguese wine yeast, particularly that's mainly used in Vino Verde, in a lot of Vino Verdes. We're looking to try to make that again. And
thank you.
Yeah, I found
just for you, Dave. Just for
Albarino grapes in California that I'm looking to bring in. And we're going to try to make it again. Albarino grapes are like very, very close to like the actual grapes that they use in Portugal to make some of the best Vino Verdes. If you ever look for Vino Verdes like in a liquor store and you see one that's called Alvarino, it's not the name of the brand, it's the actual grape, Alvarino. Vino Verdes are some of the best Vino Verdes you could get, and Albarino grapes are like super similar to those. We use Sauvignon Blanc because that was literally the closest grape varietal that I could get my hands on to what really goes into a Vino Verde. But we're definitely going to be making more of that. That it's weird and it sucks to me because I love making off dry meads, and most of the time they don't move anywhere near as fast as all the sweet stuff. So we make what the customers want, obviously. But I always try to make like 1 or 2 dry meads to keep on the shelves, and even if it's just for myself. But we always tend to make a lot less of those nowadays, for sure. I remember like years ago we made we were leading into the summer, and our production schedule leading into the summer was like 4 or 5 dry meads, and like we noticed a huge difference in bottle sales. Man, because everybody's like, oh, everything's like dry, and where's the sweet stuff? And everybody just thinks honey and wants the sweet, big sweet dessert style stuff, which we don't even go that far when it comes to sweetness. Like, we had
Garrido was one of my favorites you ever made,
and it was like bone dry.
Yeah,
bone dry. But it always reminds me of like this a post on one of the mead groups on Facebook where somebody posts up, I think it was a picture of like Midnight Jack, and they were like, oh my God, this is, one of my favorite meads. This is awesome. And some people are agreeing with them. And then one guy posts up like, I've had plenty of Melovino stuff. They're awesome, but I always feel like there's something missing. And I went into that post and I replied, yeah, it's about 18% sugar. And Midnight Jack is one of the sweeter ones that we actually make. We don't get much sweeter than that, actually. But yeah, when you look at some of the others, not that they're bad in any way, it's just a whole different style of mead, like that real big, like dessert style, like sipper type of meads that you have like 2 to 4 ounces of.
I'll throw that up there now because that's what I'm drinking right now. So
yeah. But the big, really big sweet dessert style stuff that other people make it's a lot of them are incredible. I love drinking them myself, in moderation. But
sure.
I always like to keep my high level sweetness a lot lower than that, just for the sake of being able to 500 ml bottle. I'll go through the whole bottle by myself, 14% alcohol or not. But if it was like 20% more in sugar, there's no way.
You got to split that or drink it 2 or 3 different times.
I mean, the interesting thing with the Midnight Jack is in the tasting room is even though it's on the sweeter side, I don't think that you perceive it as sweet. I think it's more rich is the word I use.
I got to be honest with you.
It's got all the berry. It's got some tannin. It's got, it's not just sugary. It's got all those other flavors, and I use the word rich, I think is the best way to describe it.
Rich is good. It's finishing a little dry to me.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's meant to. If you were to actually measure that out, I'll actually tell you exactly what the sugar percentage is right now. That is 8.8% sugar. Right now, yeah. If you were to take something where like a big sweet dessert style mead, that's like normally found like some of like the highest rated meads out there. Yeah. Basically, they're all like in your. I'll tell you right now. I always forget percent sugar. They're all about 19 to like around 19% sugar. So just imagine that right there. Like, so
that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Midnight Jack is like less than half as sweet as like some of the others, which like I said, there's nothing wrong with. I don't want to put the wrong.
No, not at all. Sure.
But yeah, Midnight Jack, it finishes a lot drier because all those darker berries, we've got tannins, a lot more tannins from the dark berries, from that fruit. And also acidity. So those are 2 things that are basically like the best mead maker's tools to balance sweetness.
Yeah, I can almost taste the skin of the berry too. And
yeah, you got a nice dryness to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It helps balance it out. Otherwise, it's just way too sweet. It's
just
flabby.
It's just dessert at that point. So you need something else to drink with it because that's your actual dessert that you're drinking.
Yeah. Like you ever had, if you guys ever had like foie gras, like on a menu at a restaurant, it's like, talk about rich, not as rich as you could pretty much get in the culinary world. But like some of the best restaurants, I know what they're doing, will actually pair that with like a pear gastrique or like some form of sweetness to balance that richness out.
I've had it with pomegranate.
Acidity more than sweetness, actually. But yeah, it helps big time. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Were you drinking another one, Matt?
I think I'm going to get to my third. Yeah, my third one is it's All Night Long.
That's another great one.
So this is it's basically an espresso coffee mead. Again, that's the cool thing about mead is even though the techniques are somewhat similar to wine, the way we deal with it, flavor it, is more along the craft beer kind of mindset. So I'd never heard of someone putting coffee in a grape wine. That would sound kind of weird to me, but and this is it's funny because the first coffee mead I ever had was from Sergio, and I was always like, that's a little weird, like coffee and honey, and then I drank it and I was like, oh hell no, I was completely off base on that.
It does sound super weird.
Why didn't I think of this before?
Oh, I'd actually had one prior to that, a Harar mead.
Mm-hmm. What was that?
It was one made with Harar coffee.
Oh yeah, and by all means, I definitely wasn't the first one to add coffee to a mead.
Yeah.
I had bee nectar.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, that was actually the first coffee mead I ever had as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm good friends with them out there, man. They're awesome people.
And make phenomenal labels.
yeah. Most of that's done by Brad's wife, who's one of the co-founders. Yeah. She does a lot of the artwork for that.
Yeah, I met her at a Hunapu and was talking about her artwork, and some great stuff on there.
Yeah, they're awesome people, man. They're really good hosts. I poured at their 10-year anniversary party on National Mead Day. What was it? 2 years ago, I think it was. I drove out there, and their anniversary party was literally just all their industry colleagues, breweries, meaderies, cideries. They all got together and they just threw this huge festival outside of the place, and
they're just north of Detroit, right?
Yeah, they're in Ferndale. Yeah, Ferndale. Yeah, right outside. Yeah, Detroit metro area. Yeah.
Where whatchamacallit, you've mentioned before that you were the president or the director or whatever of the mead.
The American Mead Makers.
American Mead Makers Association. Yeah. Any interesting developments in that with everything that happened last year with COVID and everything else? How's that industry as a whole doing as far as
it's been growing
around it,
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, there were still, just like breweries, there were still meaderies opening up during all of this. I've actually stepped away from the association literally as of last week. We just had our most recent election. I was able to run for another term, but with everything going on, I just couldn't dedicate the time that position required of me. And I served the last 3 years as president, and I served like 3 years on the board even before that. So, I mean, I put in my volunteer time.
You put your time in.
But yeah, no, it's basically before COVID, there was a new meadery opening in this country every 3 days. That was the growth rate of
really.
Wow.
Yeah, we're definitely over 500 meaderies in this country. Whereas 6 or 7 years ago, there was only about 30 or 40. So it's growing exponentially, man. And they're just popping up all over the place, like everywhere you could think of. Meaderies that have existed, have expanded. I tell every new meadery, entrepreneur, just start off with bigger tanks. Get as big of tanks as you could afford, realistically afford. And because the story is always the same. Whenever somebody opens up a meadery, they always end up realizing, wow, we need way more tanks. This stuff is like moving faster than we thought.
Fast you can.
Not that it flies off the shelf, like compared to beer, to be honest, because it doesn't. It's more expensive, number one, just because honey is the most expensive sugar source in the world. So by default, meat is always going to be more expensive, especially compared to malt. And it's just, it takes longer to make, especially mainly the standard strength stuff, the 12, 14% alcohol stuff. It takes a lot longer to make than it would to turn a batch of beer around. So long story short, yeah, it doesn't move as fast, but people are always surprised when they open up a meadery. They're thinking that, they're getting big enough tanks where in fact they're every single one of them is looking to like sell and buy new tanks almost, within the first year. Basically, they're looking to expand. Same thing happened with us. Actually, we expanded like 3 times over here, and we're still adding more tanks. Actually, we have another 20 barrels of tank capacity coming in this month.
Well, that is a good problem to have. So.
Yeah.
It is in a way. I mean, yeah, in our sake, sales have been shit, to be honest, in 2020. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm fucking, Scrooge McDuck or whatever the freaking his name is, diving into coins. Definitely not by any means. But we have 2 10-barrel tanks coming from Brick City Brewing. Our buddies over there, we bought 2 of their old 10-barrel tanks. We're looking to try to get draft meads done. And also some hard cider. We're looking to start making some hard cider this year as well to can up.
Sure, why not?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
One comment we got here, Natalie Clay wants to say hello to Dave, Sergio, and Matt. Not me.
Hi, Natalie.
Just Dave, Sergio, and Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So you 3 say hi to her. I'm not going to say a word.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Nat.
Natalie's awesome.
Speaking of
hi, Natalie.
Speaking of one of those regular customers you mentioned earlier, Sergio.
Yeah. Natalie's been to my house for Thanksgiving. Come on. Yeah, she's more than a customer. She's really cool. I love Natalie.
Oh, who doesn't?
Yeah. Oh man. I'll leave that one alone.
Apparently a comment came across.
Just leave it alone. All right. Anyway, all right. So we do a spot on the show each week towards the end of the show called 33s. 33 pays homage to 1933 when the repeal of Prohibition occurred. The year. So we do top 3s, and we've said it before. I'm just letting you guys know. Obviously, we originally were thinking about doing a top 10 list like we do on the sports show, but it would probably take more than half the podcast to do a top 10 list for everybody. So we do top 3s. So today's top 3 list is top favorite mead moments or experiences in your own personal history. So why don't we start with our number 1 guest today, Sergio Moutela. Why don't you tell us your top 3 favorite mead moments and experiences?
I thought Matt was the number 1 guest. He was in that explosion on the fire.
He's additional.
Yeah. Well, the
number 1. It's like I have the front row seat to the show. That's what it is.
I want him to use the word special because Matt is special.
Right. I just got the bullshit regular ass rectangle.
I'm gonna. Well, that's all we have too. Hold on. I'm actually gonna put Natalie's. Comments up here. First, she said this one. Who are you? Sorry. then she threw up hearts, and then she said, "Oh, I know who John is now." Duh. There you go.
Hi, John.
Hi, Natalie.
Hi, John. That's our Natalie.
I'm pretty sure I introduced you to at AC Beer Fest.
I've known Natalie for
years in a row.
Very many
and
years.
One of the 3 of us probably doesn't remember it.
Probably.
There you go. But in any event, okay. So let's get back to it. Sergio, why don't you give us your top 3 favorite mead moments or experiences?
Oh man.
And remember the rule: only one can be Melovino.
Only one is Melovino.
Only one Melovino. Yeah, I've got the first one that comes to mind for sure is what we do every year besides COVID year. We have Mead Week out in Colorado. So we have basically the AMMA's mead conference and the 2 largest mead competitions in the world, both on the homebrew and the commercial side, happen all under the same roof in the same week. And there's literally mead makers from all over the world coming in, and we're all under the same roof for an entire week, just drinking and talking about mead. It's amazing and freaking.
I'm totally going.
Scary at the same time.
When is that next?
Can we hide in your luggage?
Yeah,
Just meet him out there.
It's amazing.
And to do a broadcast from the next one.
There we go.
Might as well. Yeah, it's just north of Denver. It's in Broomfield, Colorado.
Broomfield, okay.
Yeah, but it's one of the it's like a mini GABF, but for mead, basically. But I'll tell you what, man, it's
GAMF.
Yeah, yeah, it's, and then we always have like a tasting suite. We'll always like book the suite, the biggest suite on the top floor for basically like the after parties, and everybody sharing. You know, it's a huge bottle share, homebrew, commercial meads. I mean, anybody, you know, the who's who of the mead world is all in the same room.
In several states of inebriation, I'm sure.
Yeah. Shit, I'm telling you, by the end of each day, I'm running down to like the hotel bar, and I'm like, give me the most bitter IPA you have, because it's nothing but freaking mead all week. But anyway, yeah, that's one of my most awesome mead experiences. I mean, granted, it's an annual thing, but it's one of the highlights of my year for sure when we can do it.
Nice.
Number two.
Oh, okay. Number two. I'd say, I don't know. I'll call this a half Melovino related. But we did a collab with Kane Brewing, which Mike Kane and I were talking back and forth over the course of like probably 2 or 3 years about this idea, and it was just really awesome to do a collab with the big name brewery. Brewery is
these guys here, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, those collabs with like small name breweries like Cypress are okay too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I was getting to that. Part. Like, you know, yeah, we've done collabs with Cypress and 2 Ton and who else? Demented when they were around, and Twin Elephant. No, I love every collab we do, but that one in particular was really cool for me because it was the first collab that we did where like we used a ton of honey in that beer, and it obviously was with such like a big respected brewery, you know, in Jersey, and the coolest part I think was, well, 2 coolest parts was that they all right off the bat said, all right, yeah, we're gonna make a 40-barrel batch of this, and that was definitely the largest collab that I had ever done. So anyway, and the other best part about it was it was a Russian honey cake inspired stout. So I pitched the idea of, you know, we were also thinking of deconstructing the flavors on that. And it was
Medovic, I believe, right?
Medovic, yeah. And so I pitched the idea of adding graham crackers to this to really mimic like the breadiness of a Russian honey cake layer, or the different layers of the Russian honey cake, and so we went through the process of toasting all of the graham crackers, like 2 or 3 huge trays at a time there at Kane, and we got a huge like stuck mash. I told them, I said we should add this in secondary, but they were like, oh, we'll just throw it into the mash, and of course it got stuck. So whatever. Long story short, the coolest part after the fact for me was that they all of a sudden, as a brewery, started using graham crackers like in so many more different ways. And I'm like, this is so cool, because I know that kind of stemmed from me, sure, you know, giving them the idea to start using graham crackers and stuff.
That's awesome.
But anyway, number 3.
And Brian just said Matt just ruined Sergio's number 3. So.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Number 3, I don't know, man. Especially non-Melovino related.
Well, you used only a half, so you
can have another half if you want. So maybe another collab.
You got a half left in your tank.
The other half, I'll throw all the other breweries out.
Actually, I was going to say, I got one for you, Serge.
Uh-oh. It's going to remind you of something here. I love the fact that his mead cellar is right next to his bedroom.
There you go.
I just like that he makes his bed.
It's my basement. That's a guest bed.
Yeah, telling the bees. It is definitely Melovino, but at the same time, that's been a passion project of mine for years. So that mead was basically made with honey from my own hives. So I started beekeeping. I took the beekeeping course at Rutgers years ago and started beekeeping, and took like 2.5 years to like really build up enough hives and get enough honey to even make a small batch here at the meadery. But yeah, it was just a lot of literally sweat and stings and a lot of freaking work, man, over the course of like 2.5, almost 3 years, just to get to the point to have enough honey to finally make a mead with our own honey. Well, honey from our own hives, technically.
Haven't I seen one of your children in the full get-up?
Yeah,
working with you.
Yeah. I've taken my my oldest Liam with me out there. I got him a little kid beekeeping suit. Yeah, he's all about it, man. He was like, he would never want to leave.
Got the smoker and everything, and
oh yeah.
Wait till he starts drinking mead.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I can't wait because by that time I hope he gets the fuck out the house already.
There you go.
Take your brother with you.
Yeah, get your own meadery somewhere out west.
Old enough to drink, old enough to pay your own rent. Here.
There you go. All right. How about you, Matt? What are your top threes?
All right, so I'll probably run through these a little bit quicker. So my number 3 is that Sergio and I were in the same homebrew club called the Whales.
You got
So Woodbridge Homebrew Ale and Lager Enthusiast Society. Obviously,
Woodbridge,
Homedale.
no,
Area.
Woodbridge Homebrew
Homebrew,
Ale and
Lager
Enthusiast
Society. There you go.
Yes, Wales. And we actually had we actually had a pair of brothers who brewed a ton, and they basically won tons and tons and tons of medals. But they actually made a mead from blueberry honey. It was just blueberry honey. It was no actual blueberries. It tasted intensely of blueberry. It was delicious, and they actually won Mead Maker of the Year at when it was still NHC, National Homebrewing Conference. And they, came back to the next meeting, of Wales triumphant. And I just walked up and was like, Don, I was like, congratulations, man. How does it feel to be the second best mead maker in the club? and the best part is you could see him, like, his head dropped because he knew it was true.
Oh, man.
So that's number 3. Number 2 is I'm of Polish descent, if you couldn't tell from my last name, and Poland, believe it or not, has a long and illustrious history of mead making with many different delineations in mead. But
maybe that's why I like mead so much.
Yeah, but the only mead I can honestly say that I've had that may trump Melovino meads is Jadwiga, and that is a Polish mead. It's a poltorak, which means it's actually 2 to 3 parts honey to 1 part water. Every other mead is like multiple parts water to 1 part honey.
Isn't it usually like 7 to 1 the other way around?
It's ridiculous. It's aged 10 years. It's oaked. It's spiced. It's hopped, and it's with raspberries. It's about 16% alcohol. It finishes like way sweeter than Bourbon County. It is ridiculous every way you slice it, but when you put it all together, it's amazing.
I've got a pen here. Spell this for me.
It's a Jadwiga, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can. Well, you had to used to have to go to Poland to get it, and we actually had a good friend who had some, and we tried it. But I think now you can actually order it because thank you, internet. But yeah, trying that and just. It's like that's kind of taking the concept of mead and turning it up to 11, because it was just so again, like I said, it's almost like liquor in a sense because they age stuff for 10 years before they bottle.
Polish meats are on a whole different level. Yeah. It's really like the national drink over there.
Yeah, and it's literally like the king of meads in Poland.
I thought that was Ziviots.
Yeah. So that's it was drinking that and trying it is number 2.
It's Ziviots.
Yeah. And then number 1, which honestly we kind of had a whole show on this a few weeks ago or a month or so ago, was basically, we took a beer recipe of mine that was the first commercial beer that I ever did, which was a winter warmer, my Belgian style winter warmer, which was a gingerbread spiced Belgian double. and Sergio worked with me, taking that beer recipe and translating it into a mead. And then we've done that now for 3 years, and we've tweaked it, and we've twisted it a little and perfected it, I think, in a way. And I think this year's was probably the best version that we've released. But to me, the first year that we actually did it is still my favorite, just because it was the process of sitting down and looking, deconstructing my recipe on the computer and discussing, well, how do we create this flavor? How do we do this? And that whole process of just kind of, meeting and discussing and figuring out how to deconstruct and then rebuild a beer as a mead was super cool to me. And there was exactly one bottle of that mead made, and it is sitting in my fridge with my name on it. And,
but when do you ever
Sergio
have that?
bottled one bottle for me, and I was like, that will probably, I don't know if I will ever have any mead experience that will top that, to be fair.
When do you ever open that bottle? That's the question. What is the time that you open
with him? Yeah, I don't know. It's only a 6.5%, draft bottle, mead. So honestly, we should probably open it.
We'll open it year number 5.
You should probably open it 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, but so if you want to talk about, true whales in terms of bottles, I have the one bottle in the world of that one Melovino mead, and it's literally got my name
literally
printed in the label, which is pretty hefty. So.
Right. You want to go, Dave? You want me to go now, or?
No, you go.
All right. I'll run through them quick. It's pretty cut and dry. I cut mine up a little bit. My number 3, if you will, would be, the first time I ever had mead. Now, granted, compared to what you're making, compared to what's out there right now, what I had the first time I had mead was shit. But it was the first mead I ever had, so
I'll top
memorable. You. You might.
It's probably the same one.
It might be.
No, it's actually not. It's actually not. But
the first time I ever had mead, it was many years ago, and I was just a wee little drinker, if you will, at the Ren Fair.
A cute little drunk.
Yeah, there you go. At the Ren Fair up in the New York Renaissance Fair. And what is that? I mean, what is Brotherhood makes their mead, right? I believe.
Yeah. Was it Carol's Sweet
Mead? Carol's Sweet Mead, yeah. So that was the first mead I ever had. So
same here, actually.
Was it? That was your first mead? There you go. My number 2 would be a location that I've gone to several times and had so many different meads. It's been crazy, and that would be Mead Hall up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. They don't have a ridiculously long mead list, but it changes, and anytime I've gone, I don't think I've had the same mead, and there's always pretty decent ones on the list. And my number 1 mead moment would be, and a Melovino moment, would be when that man in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, Mr. Matt, brought down was it a barrel-aged Bochet?
Yeah. That was the Best Friends Forever.
Best Friends Forever.
Yeah.
When we finished the bottle, I wanted to break open the bottle and lick the inside of it because I hadn't had enough of it. So, there you go. And that's my number 1 mead moment. So there's my number 3, or number 3 of them in a quick bit there. So
a mixed berry Bochet aged in a bourbon barrel.
There you go. It was crazy good. Crazy good. Nice. All right, Dave, you're up.
So my number 3 is going to make Sergio's eyes roll so hard. In college, I was a medieval history major, and also my minor was English, but with a strong intent.
Basket weaving or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Medieval history and
basket weaving. Actually, English with a.
And he got a scholarship for that too.
Yeah,
for basket weaving, not medieval.
I can weave a hell of a basket. But that also came, from my years of, sci-fi, fantasy, playing D&D. I wave my nerd flag proudly.
Yeah. It's right behind him. Look, technically.
Yeah, but part of that was medieval literature, and you talk about Beowulf. Mead figures very strongly in the story of Beowulf. Of course, I read Professor Tolkien's translation of Beowulf because, well, Tolkien, or Tolkien actually is the way it's supposed to be pronounced. So I'd always had this image in my head of what mead should taste like. And, I'd had some homebrewed mead because I was also in the Society for Creative Anachronism. But everyone did like the raspberry mead, so you didn't really get a true mead flavor. The first mead I ever had was it Bunratty? And that was just basically, it was like honey flavored rocket fuel. That stuff is hot. And so that I wasn't satisfied with. So the first one that I drank that I'm like, wow, that's what I think it should taste like. In my head when I read that was actually Viking's Blood from Danks. How do you even say MJOD? Is it pronounced mead or mead or
mod? I don't know.
Mod, I don't know.
I was going to say, I was waiting to comment, like,
Dansk mod. Something like
yeah,
that.
I was waiting to comment like, oh, good. Nobody had a story about throwing up over Dansk mead.
No, I never. I don't think I've thrown up over.
He didn't throw up, so they
didn't throw up over it. But but it actually had the flavors that I thought of when I'm reading Beowulf. They're drinking mead, and I was looking for that. Now, granted, because what Danksmod is more, it is to like the mead world what Budweiser is to the craft beer world in a sense. That's the mass produced and
yeah, but it's aggressive.
Yeah.
The problem is it's like 17 or 18% alcohol. It's spiced, and it's just one of those things that it's like smack right across your face, and you're like, oh, whoa.
There's something nice I'll pour about this much there, and that helps me sleep nicely. But at any rate, because I do have a crock of it in my fridge right now, but still drink it because I can't get my hands on enough Melovino because I'm up in Rhode Island now. But we'll move on to 2. 2 was actually I was down in Hunapu one year, and the night before, they would have the brewers only bottle share, and I'm standing talking to this one gentleman, more around my age, and I grab a bottle and there was mead, so I pour it and I start talking to the guy. He did not have a walker. He was not as old as Brian.
You said your age, so I just.
But and so I grabbed this one bottle. I'm drinking. I'm talking to this one guy, and it's Moonlight Meadery. Turned out that the guy I'm talking to is Mike, the owner of Moonlight Meadery. So we started talking mead for a little bit, and I think this was long enough ago that I don't know that he was aware of Sergio and Melovino. I'm sure he's much more aware of Sergio and Melovino now. Yeah. So we spoke a little bit, and he told me that he had made a traditional mead, and he'd aged it in Pappy barrels. So he said, I'm not quite sure when I'm going to be opening that. He was opening it during the festival.
Was it Pappy or Utopias barrels?
No, you're right. It was Utopias barrels.
Thank you. I was about to say, he did. Michael Fairbrother did not age. He did not get a skills on Pappy Van Winkle barrels.
No, I remember it as Pappy, but then again,
he's actually released his 10-year barrel aged version of that. Actually,
yeah, I thought it was Pappy, but then again, this was the brewers only bottle share, and we'd been there for at least half an hour, and half an hour there. It's like 3 hours of normal drinking elsewhere. So, so when he cracked it, I wasn't there. I was pouring for Carton at the time. And he actually sent his son to come get me. And I remember it was only Augie and I in the booth. And he came and he got me, and I looked at Augie and said, I've got to go. And I told John earlier, I'm pretty certain this is the first and only time Augie ever poured at an event. I wasn't sure if he knew how to use the jockey box. I'm going to pay for that if he's listening. Maybe true, though. Who knows?
Well, you only had him on like last week.
It could be true, but you'll still pay for it, so it doesn't matter.
I'll still pay for it. Doesn't matter. He remembers things differently than I do sometimes, and we never know which one's right. So that's number 2. That was because that was fantastic. It was just great talking about
Mike. Taste at least, or?
Oh, hell no. No.
No. There's you didn't walk back over with at least a sip in a separate glass. Here, this is what I left for. Yeah. Nothing.
No, not.
Your mind wasn't working that way.
Not that I recollect. No.
All right.
So my first, and I was gonna go with the Melovino moment because we limited it to one. But you guys have shared some great Melovino moments. You know, we talked about the early days coming in, you doing the tour, the schlocky jokes throughout the tour, which were hilarious.
That you made or that he made?
Oh no, the guy down, yeah, that guy. But so I'm going to go with one, and John knows this one. I've told this a couple times. When I was up in Maine, I was on my way to Oxbow, and I didn't know at the time that they're having a private event, and I didn't. And this was not the blendery in Portland. This was actually the brewery itself. And I'm driving down one of those, those main roads with like the tall pine trees on either side. There's no lights, so at night you're going to hit a moose. And as I'm driving to Oxbow, I pass one of these pennants that say Meadery with an arrow pointed. Like, the fuck? So I turn it around, I come back, and I turn up this one road. I go to the end of the road, and it ends in this dude's driveway. I'm like, this makes no sense. So I put the car in reverse. As I start to back up, this guy comes running out his front door. This big, kind of chubby guy, and he's like, "Oh, no. This is the Meadery. This is the Meadery." So I park the car, and I get out. I talk to him. He walks me around the back of the house, and I'm thinking to myself, this is it. This is how they got me. Yeah, this is how they got me. A sign that says "Mead this way." That was the way they tricked me. I'm going to die in the backwoods of Maine. Yeah.
You got a phone call.
It turned out to be Fat Friar Meadery. He turned out to be one of the nicest guy with a really cool dog. And had some pretty damn good mead there. Came home with a few bottles. But it was I think it was, just the whole experience of being in Maine and thinking that I might die at some point and not dying, actually being given mead instead. That was wonderful. But that was a lot of fun.
That's funny. That's great. That's a great story. I remember you telling me about that right after it happened. I talked to him a little later that day.
I will say I kind of want to cheat and add a fourth though. If that's
please do.
Yeah,
please do.
I'll go.
So this is we're going back to Wales, and there's a guy who's been in Wales for ages, who makes really good mead, and his name is Luke, and he made the first mead with meadow foam honey that I've ever tasted. And if you
with what honey?
Meadow foam is the name of foam. Meadow foam honey has this intense vanilla marshmallow note. It is unbelievably good, and that was really. I mean, this was years ago. I think Sergio, you had probably just like opened, and he did it. And again, it's a very expensive singular honey varietal. It's a pain in the ass to get, blah, 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 blah. But it's, the best way to think about it is if you think about, a single hopped beer where you have a very distinct flavor profile and, again, citra hop, it has an intense citrus, and that really opened my eyes to just how you could design a beer based on one singular honey and have a specific honey profiles. Now, since then, I've had numerous meadow foam honey meads, and they were all spectacular. They really are spectacular. But it's interesting. There are honeys that ferment, and the flavor characteristic comes right through. There's honeys that ferment and completely transform. So some shit tasting honeys ferment and taste good. Some really good honeys ferment and taste like crap. So it's like you kind of got to know what you're dealing with and things like that. And again, I've learned so much from Sergio. It's amazing to watch him work because, the way I deal with malts, and I know how malts, adding little percentages of different malts to transform flavors and do things. It's amazing to watch him do stuff with blending honeys.
Watch his mind work.
Yeah, and he's always getting like these stupid packages in the mail all the time, and you open it up and it's like 20 of these little tasting jars of honey from some honey supplier, and we're always like sitting there cracking jars open and taking little samples and stuff. And it's just it's one of those things where it's like it's just he's not ready to, even though he's kind of reached near the top, he's not ready to hang his hat on the wall. It's like he's always like, what's next? What are we doing next? How can we kick? everyone's ass again.
No,
I'm not trying to be the best meadery by any means. I'm just trying to.
You just are.
No.
You're not trying to be the best meadery. You just want to keep. You just want to keep trying to be the best meadery.
Did you see the way I shared the show?
No.
I shared the show. I was like, hey, the best mead maker on the planet, fight me.
I didn't see that. No, I'm literally just my meadery. I view as this is like me making mead in my garage, like I used to at home, and everybody's allowed to come in, but you actually have to pay me for the shit. If you want me to keep doing this, you have to pay me. That's how this works.
That's the caveat
but
there.
This is literally my playground, and I'm here to have fun and make awesome stuff, and and share it with everybody. That's my only. That is like literally my only MO is I just love making stuff that people enjoy, whether it's food, cocktails, mead, beer, whatever it is. That's what I get the most enjoyment out of, and that's all I really do. I mean, obviously, then when you're doing it for a living, now it's a business. So now you kind of have to like pay attention to numbers, and does that crazy recipe idea, does it work out economically to even produce or to distribute to sell for a wholesale price? Some don't. Then obviously other factors come into play. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, I'm not trying to be the best meadery. I'm just trying to make the best stuff I can make, but with constant experimentation, and hopefully people like it enough that they keep coming back to try what else I'm working on.
Sure, absolutely.
And you know what? Before the show, I looked up and to see when was the first time I stepped into your playground. It was actually February 22nd, 2015.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we're going on almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember because you started up as a, it was almost like a GoFundMe, was it? Was it a GoFundMe?
We did a Kickstarter, yeah.
Yeah, Kickstarter, back in the day of Kickstarters. And I remember I was
how long everything took, and we were paying commercial rent for a space that we weren't allowed to use while we were working out the licensing deal with the state.
Right.
We ran out of funds by the time we got by the time we actually got our permit. It was like we ran out of money to even buy ingredients. Like we needed to raise some money to just buy ingredients and bottles and labels. Like
that's crazy.
Just to help us get through the first batches. And yeah, luckily that happened. So
I so wanted to put into that Kickstarter, but 3 kids and a mortgage, it got poo-pooed.
Yeah.
I've got 2 in a mortgage, so I know.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yeah, Matt said before, Sergio's always getting these crazy packages in the mail with the honey in them. Dave gets crazy packages in the mail too, but they don't have any honey in them. So, but
we said we wouldn't discuss that, John.
Anyway, a couple things I want to throw up here from Brian, our illustrious producer.
How illustrious is he?
Specifically speaking about Matt's bottle that he mentioned that's in his fridge, he says you can always open it up at a bottle share at his house.
On the deck.
On the deck. There you go. But he does want to say that Sergio is an awesome guest. So, and I have to concur.
Thanks,
Kudos.
Brian.
Absolutely. And
yeah, we were really looking forward to the show. When we started putting together our guest list for the show, you were always near the top.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like talking shop, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
now that I got all the boring stuff out of the way with this one, then we could just bullshit on the next one.
Absolutely.
There we go.
The next one's just the rap session. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up for today. At that point, I want to thank everybody for watching. We all want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, we want to thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 5:30. Make a note that may change in a few weeks, but we'll give you a heads up. Just the hour, not the day. But for those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Sergio, thank you for coming on the show. It's been awesome.
Sir.
Your mead is delicious. I finished half of each of these bottles, so I'll probably finish them tonight. I know somebody downstairs will probably have a little bit of them with me. But
with dinner.
With dinner, absolutely.
What's for dinner tonight, John?
Tonight, pasta and sausage, I believe.
Yeah,
so there you go. That'll work. Anyway, Sergio, thanks for coming on. Like I said, the meat is delicious.
And you too, Matt. Thank you, Matt, for coming back.
I wasn't done yet. Thank you. Matt, thank you for coming back on the show. He's the second two-repeater guest.
There we go.
Even though he was just the additional guest today, but he had the big starburst on the,
Well, the first one who double dipped was on last week, right?
Yeah, Augie.
Augie was the first double dip last week. Yeah, so
I'm going to tell him I'm hot on his heels. Don't worry.
You're on his heels, absolutely.
Well, what we'll have to do is have to have Charlie on and have you on with him. That way you get the 3.
So we'll bring Charlie on with you, and then you got the 3 exactly. So, but Augie might make a case to come on before that, just to stay one step ahead of you. So we'll figure that one out.
Well, you're saying he has some pride and some competitiveness.
Yes. No. Well, doesn't everybody? I mean, really. I mean, it's co-opetition, but you got to stay one step ahead of the co-opetition, don't you?
Yes.
So.
Well, I'm just happy that I've gotten to work with some really great people in the beer and mead industry here in New Jersey, and I'd say Sergio's right up there at the very top of that list. So.
Do you work with some of our favorite people?
Absolutely.
And we have Charlie. And Charlie, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna defend my boyfriend there.
Yeah. No, Charlie knows.
Oh, Charlie knows.
I had some beers with Charlie this afternoon, so we're always good, man.
And we have to have the other 2 maniacs that you've worked with up somewhere north around the Meadowlands.
Yeah. Well, at some point in the next several weeks, one or both of them may be coming on. So we'll keep you posted about that. So.
Well, I told Scott the other day. I said, seriously, dude. No COVID-19 beer, like how that's a softball sitting there just waiting to be hit out of the park. I'm like, how the hell did you guys not get that done?
It's been lobbed up for him, and nobody took a damn swing at it.
If a meadery beat you to using Bulls on Parade before you did, they're off their game, man. Come on.
Yeah. He goes, that was gold. And I'm like, come on, dude. You literally, that's all you do is sit around all day and think of cow puns.
I can't believe there hasn't been a rapper that came out with COVID-D,
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
But in any event, that was a big softball for them. They didn't even take a swing. So, in fact, that softball, that was a beach ball.
Yeah.
But in any event, well, anyway, again, Sergio, thanks for coming on. You definitely come back again. Like I said, like you said, next time it'll just be nice, and we'll sit back and drink and BS on the next.
There you go. Yeah. Looking forward to it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely, thanks for coming on, and Matt, thanks for coming on too.
Cheers, guys.
On behalf of myself and Dave, we want to thank you and have a great week, a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon, guys. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake robe. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he's shit out of luck. This little penny went to